Hello, Alien Buddha press friends. I'm just taking a moment to go through this amazing best of 2025 Alien Buddha press, which I have a story in, but I had to read so many other people's stories before I got to mine. My story, if you have a hard time finding it, is on page 398. And it's what we like to call in the business a zinger. And since this is such a special occasion and such a short story, I'm going to read it to you. Pieces of Fortune by Catherine Lee Hamilton from the Alien Buddha Loves You Too edition. There is a bumper sticker that reads, "I am sorry I haven't been to church lately. I have been busy practicing witchcraft and becoming a lesbian on my Lamborghini. Everyone who drives by thinks it's a joke, but it's actually true. That sticker says who I am now." It was just 1 year ago that the bumper sticker might have said, "Married in a cloying church wedding to her father's best friend's son and forced into early motherhood on the beat-up station wagon I was allowed to drive. Being the wife, I was not allowed to have a new car. My husband had wanted to start a family immediately, and it hadn't been just enough for him and me to try. He had my doctors put me on fertility pills. So, a Sunday afternoon after church found me sitting in a Chinese restaurant with my parents, my husband's parents, and my husband, 2 months pregnant with triplets, and thinking woefully that I didn't know where my life was going, that I never really made a single choice about it. They had always been made for me, first by my overbearing parents, and then by an overbearing husband and his overbearing parents. Inside, I was simmering. The long, slow simmer of anger kept under wraps for years, and boiling, the rage of new anger just welling up in me every time I looked down at a belly full of children I honestly did not want to spend my life catering to, or next to me at a husband I felt the same way about. So it was with irony when a sympathetic waitress walked past me and winked at me and passed me the fortune cookies. I cracked mine open amid warnings from my mother and mother-in-law not to eat it because it would be bad for the babies. And I read, "Only you make a decision. The universe completes it to make it happen." It tingled in my hands. I will tell you now, when you make a wish, be careful. Sometimes it may come true. I couldn't help snort and think to myself, "All right, Cookie, I decide I'd like to make the decisions. I'd like to know where my life could go if I was steering it." I ripped up the fortune cookie into 6 pieces and threw them into the table's ashtray angrily, knowing it would never come true. We all split up at the restaurant and went to our separate homes. I would find out what happened to my parents and my husband's parents later, but what happened to us all occurred basically at the same time. My father had been drinking and drinking heavily. I remembered one vicious blow when I was 15 and had tried to stop him from driving. On the way home today, his car would lose control on the highway and roll into a ditch, killing him and my mother instantly. My mother and father-in-law made it back to their house, but their car was struck by lightning. Not when they were safely in it, but at a terribly unsafe moment of getting out but not having completed doing so. They were literally fried to death. My husband and I got into the elevator to our penthouse apartment, and he turned the key. He took my arm and squeezed it painfully. "I didn't like your behavior at the restaurant. Snorting like a pig and ripping up your fortune. You behaved like a low woman," he said menacingly. The words, "I am so sorry," started to flow through my lips. Then I heard a sudden metallic whining sound and the snapping as the elevator was suddenly dark, shaking, and then gravity seemed to go nuts. I must have hit my head on the wall because I blacked out. When I came to, I was in the hospital. I could tell from the surroundings and from the beepings of equipment. My whole body hurt, but my low stomach hurt the most. After a few minutes, a doctor came to see me and explained that the elevator cable had snapped. He also told me as kindly as possible that my husband was dead, and I had not only lost my pregnancy, I would most likely not be able to have children. Then he squared his shoulders and said, "I'd like to ask you about something," and took out 2 small microscope slides, bringing them close to me. I squinted. They were small ripped pieces of paper. He shook one and said, "This was found in your mouth." It read, "Make a decision." Then he shook the other and it said, "This was found in your husband's mouth." A piece of paper read, "Wants you." I couldn't explain anything to the doctor, nor could I to the police. When the other officers, 4 strips of fortune cookie paper were found in my husband's and my parents-in-law's mouths. But with all of them dead and myself the sole inheritor, I suddenly had a lot to find out about myself and a lot of decisions to make. Those choices led me from stifled Christian housewife to free-spirited lesbian witch. After all, it began with a magic cookie. Oh, and I'm dating the waitress. She's teaching me witchcraft. I hope you enjoyed that short story. I want to again say what an honor it is to be reprinted. Oh my God. And to be reprinted by Alien Buddha Press. That is a really great honor, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of it. Have a great night. Bye-bye.